When the Great Fire's final embers cooled, London's surface was forever changed, but beneath its streets, the past remained buried. Deep below the rebuilt city lie the mass graves of the plague dead, sealed in haste, forgotten by time, yet never truly silent. Centuries later, their presence is still felt, in unexplained chills, strange lights in old churchyards, and the whispering earth that seems to breathe beneath the pavements of modern London. These are not just stories of fire and disease, but what remains when both have passed. The ghosts of the plague pits. When the Great Fire of London finally died out, the city began rebuilding upon ground still heavy with grief. Brick and stone replaced timber, but beneath it all, thousands lay forgotten. The plague pits, hasty mass graves dug in panic during 1665, were sealed, built over, and erased from maps. London grew, unaware of the dead beneath. Yet from time to time, reminders emerged, bones unearthed, strange lights in churchyards, and stories of whispers beneath earth where the plague dead were laid to rest. Charterhouse Square, near Smithfield, is one of the best known plague burial sites. Archaeologists confirm that hundreds, perhaps thousands, were buried here during the Black Death and Great Plague. Local legend says the ground is never still. Late-night passers-by report faint crying beneath the cobbles, a child's laughter, or the soft shuffle of unseen feet pacing the square. Some claim that if you press your ear to the ground on a quiet night, you can hear them, the muffled echoes of London's lost souls. In the 17th century, burials were conducted hastily, often without ceremony. Corpses were stacked and covered with lime to stop the stench, though some believed the lime burned the still living. Eyewitnesses spoke of groans within the trenches, of movement after burial. Whether truth or trauma, such tales fueled fear that many were entombed alive. Over time, these stories became hauntings, spirits restless, not from evil, but from despair. Their cries were said to rise through the soil whenever London disturbed their rest. Aldgate Station, today part of London's Underground, was built above one of these pits. During construction, workers uncovered bones and fragments of coffins dating to the plague years. Since then, countless tales have emerged, phantom footsteps echoing through empty tunnels, ghostly mists forming on deserted platforms, and cold bursts of air from nowhere. One maintenance worker swore he heard voices calling from behind a sealed wall, faint, pleading, and rhythmic, like a prayer from beneath the city. Whitechapel Mount once hid another vast burial pit. When it was levelled in the 1800s, labourers uncovered skulls and bones jumbled in layers, many still wearing scraps of clothing. At night, residents reported flickering lights above the site, and strange vapours that glowed blue before fading. Dogs refused to pass the area after dark. Folklore held that the lights were the souls of plague victims, spirits trapped between worlds, glowing softly in the place where they perished. Modern archaeology continues to uncover London's plague dead. In 2015, excavations for Crossrail near Liverpool Street revealed over 3,000 skeletons from a burial ground used between 1569 and 1738. Among them were victims of the 1665 plague. Coffins stacked deep, bones interlocked. Scientists traced DNA from the Yersinia pestis bacteria still preserved in their teeth. But for the workers on site, it wasn't science that unsettled them most. It was the silence, heavy and charged, as though the earth itself was holding its breath. Archaeologists spoke of sudden cold spots in the tunnels, unexplained equipment malfunctions, and the sense of being watched. None would work alone underground for long. When asked about ghostly experiences, one replied simply, "It's not what you see, it's what you feel. The weight of history down there is alive." Whether spirits or psychology, their testimony mirrors centuries of similar accounts. Reminders that London's underworld is as haunted as it is historic. Not all hauntings are sinister. Some believe the plague dead linger to protect their resting grounds. At Charterhouse, a translucent white figure has been seen guiding lost travellers across the square. Witnesses describe a soft glow, a calm presence, and the scent of earth after rain. The figure fades as dawn approaches, leaving a feeling of quiet compassion. Many locals interpret this as a guardian spirit, perhaps one of the compassionate nurses or priests who died serving the sick in 1665. Elsewhere, in St Bride's, Fleet Street, plague victims rest beneath the church floor. In the 1950s, workers restoring the crypt reported ghostly bells tolling, though no ropes moved. Others heard faint hymns echoing through sealed chambers, as if unseen mourners were still singing for the dead. The clergy recorded these events discreetly, describing them not as hauntings, but as echoes of devotion, spirits of faith lingering where their prayers were once heard. Many Londoners live unknowingly above plague pits. In Clerkenwell, Holborn, and Stepney, old records note pest fields, later turned into parks and housing. Residents sometimes report odd occurrences, sudden chills, sounds of shovels scraping, or crying that stops when lights switch on. Builders say unearthed bones bring an eerie quiet. Even the most sceptical pause a moment, sensing they've disturbed something ancient, something human that deserves to be left alone. Dreams of plague recur among those who live near old burial sites. Some dream of endless digging, others of standing in lines of mourners without faces. Psychologists might call it suggestion, but these dreams often occur before bones are discovered nearby. It's as if the buried memories awaken before the soil does. Ghosts, it seems, do not always appear to the eye. Sometimes they whisper through the collective imagination of a city that remembers more than it admits. During the Victorian era, plague pit tales flourished. Newspapers printed ghostly stories of groaning grounds and haunted hospitals. Writers like Charles Dickens and Henry Mayhew referenced the unquiet dead beneath London's streets, invisible tenants in a city that never stopped expanding. It became a kind of Gothic tradition, the idea that beneath every cobblestone lies history, and beneath history, restless humanity. Animals are said to sense what humans ignore. Dogs sometimes bark at invisible figures in Charterhouse Square. Horses once refused to pull carriages over Aldgate at night. Even today, pets in flats built over old pits react strangely, whining at corners, refusing to sleep or watch something unseen. Science can't prove the presence of spirits, yet those who've experienced it rarely doubt that something stirs beneath the surface. In some areas, strange blue flames have been reported flickering over old plague grounds. The phenomenon, known as will-o'-the-wisp, is caused by gases from decaying remains. But folklore says otherwise. The lights, it's told, are lost souls searching for rest, wandering lanterns of those buried without ceremony. To the imagination of Londoners, science and superstition blur easily. The dead still find ways to be seen, even when reason tells us otherwise. Churches built atop plague sites often carry uneasy atmospheres, St Olave's in Hart Street, one of Pepys' favourites, was surrounded by pestilence graves. Visitors report cold drafts that move against the wind and faint sighs heard during prayer. It was once called a church for the dead, and many who enter still describe feeling watched, not maliciously, but with the weight of centuries of sorrow. Plague pit ghosts rarely appear as full apparitions. More often, their presence is sensed, a sudden chill, a shifting shadow, or a feeling of being observed. These subtle hauntings mirror their burials, quiet, unacknowledged, beneath layers of time. They are not the screaming spirits of horror tales, but the quiet echo of a collective tragedy still lingering beneath London's foundations. Even modern development hasn't silenced the past. In 2013, while renovating Farringdon Station, workers unearthed more bones. Construction halted, archaeologists intervened. Locals reported flickering lights and electrical faults until the remains were properly reinterred. Whether coincidence or consequence, the disturbances ceased once respect was restored, as though the dead themselves approved of their newfound peace. The ghosts of the plague pits are rarely seen in anger. Their presence seems to be tied not to vengeance, but remembrance. They are the quiet witnesses of history, souls once abandoned, now uncovered, reminding us that progress stands on the shoulders of the forgotten. Perhaps haunting is simply another form of memory, one too strong to fade. London's ghost tours often end with a stop at one of these plague pits. Tourists hold lanterns over the ground that hides thousands of untold stories. Many say they feel a chill or see fleeting shapes between the shadows. But the truest haunting is silence, the awareness that below your feet lies an entire generation that never had the chance to say goodbye. Some say the ghosts protect the city, keeping watch over those who live above them. Perhaps in death, they've become part of London itself, the voice in the fog, the whisper in the bricks, the faint cry beneath the traffic. They are the city's heartbeat, pulsing quietly beneath centuries of noise. Excavations continue to reveal the enormity of these pits. Some hold entire streets worth of victims, packed shoulder to shoulder. For archaeologists, the work is sacred. Each bone tells a story of survival, sacrifice, and human fragility. For those more attuned to the supernatural, it confirms what they already believed, that such suffering leaves a permanent mark upon a place. There are stories of builders who refused to continue once bones were unearthed, not out of fear but respect. One worker reportedly left his tools, saying softly, "I won't be the one to disturb them twice." The sentiment lingers that beneath London's relentless pace, a quiet reverence remains for those who built its tragic past. Psychic investigators have long claimed that the plague pits emit residual energy. Recordings pick up whispers, indistinct voices, and faint knocks from underground. Skeptics dismiss it as interference, but for many it's proof that echoes of 1665 still resonate beneath the city. Perhaps these voices aren't haunting us at all, but calling to be remembered. In truth, the ghosts of the plague pits are not part of London's identity. They are reminders of endurance, tragedy, and compassion in equal measure. Each rediscovered site is both an archaeological and spiritual revelation. The earth beneath London is alive with memory, a city built upon bones yet still breathing. Not all ghosts are to be feared. Some are teachers. The plague dead remind us of what can happen when humanity forgets kindness, science, or humility. Their legacy continues in the lessons learnt, the medical advancements born from tragedy. But their spirits linger, keeping those lessons from fading into complacency. Modern London may glitter with glass and steel, But beneath it lies the old world, dark, silent and patient. From Aldgate to Clerkenwell, the dead remain, whispering through the cracks of the modern age. Their presence is subtle yet certain, as enduring as the city itself. Some say the souls of the plague victims are at peace now, finally recognised after centuries. Others believe they still wander, searching for their names, their prayers, their closure. Either way, their existence is woven into London's very soul. The ghosts of the plague pits are no longer forgotten. They are London. To walk through the city at night is to walk across their graves. Every street, every shadow carries a trace of their history. The hum of life above masks the silence below, a dual existence of the living and the lost. In that silence, if you listen carefully, you might still hear them. Centuries later, the plague has gone, but its spirits endure, not in vengeance, but remembrance. They haunt not to harm, but remind us that beneath progress lies pain, and beneath history lies humanity. The ghosts of the plague pits are not trapped, they are timeless. And so London stands, alive, vibrant, yet forever shadowed by its buried past. The ghosts of the plague pits whisper beneath its streets, reminding all who listen that history breathes. The earth may have sealed their bodies, but not their stories. In every unearthed bone, in every chill wind, they still speak. Their voices echo not from below, but through time itself, haunting London eternally. 4 centuries have passed since the Great Plague ravaged London and its people. Yet its echo remains, not only in the bones and ruins, but in the city's very breath. Through death, fire, sacrifice and haunting, the story of plague has whispered across generations. We have walked through these streets marked with crosses, through villages of self-sacrifice, through flames that cleansed, and through the silent pits where the dead still stir beneath our feet. The plague series may end here, but London's ghosts never sleep. Their stories endure in stone, in soil, and in every shadow cast by history itself.